From the Standing Stone Farm Studio right outside downtown Nashville, it's time for the most ridiculous sports podcast in the world. So sit back, relax, and listen as Bobby Butler and Brandon Bond crack open a cold one and talk all things hockey, pop culture, and complain about everyday situations. It's the Pucks Out Podcast on the Penalty Box Radio Network.
Welcome into the most ridiculous podcast of sports and pop culture. I'm Bobby. He's Brandon.
Hey-o.
You can find us in the three majors of social media at Pucks Out Pod. Now let's crack open this cold Mayday beer and let's get after it. As always, Pucks Out is powered by Mayday Brewery, the official beer Pucks Out podcast. I got that. I'm back on that Angry Redhead Red Ale. Absolutely love it.
Moon salt.
Today we have got
moon salt over here, brother.
Salt. Nice.
Yeah, they made the mistake of just sending us in. They made the mistake of sending us in alone to pick out our own beers. Usually they guide us. They're like, "Oh, take these." But you give me I'm gonna pick my favorite, bro. You know, sorry about your inventory issues.
Always.
You know.
Anyway, today we have got our part one of our team previews for the season. We're starting out with the Metro Division. We've got the Hurricanes, the Blue Jackets, the Devils, and the Islanders. But before we do that, don't forget to check us out on Patreon and Twitch to support the show. How are you this week, buddy?
Good, man. We took a break last week. Numerous reasons. Both of us are having to venture out into the cold, hard world of people driving and stuff. You know, we gotta go into an office and show badges to people. You know, Harper never asked me once for my credentials when I when I'm working at home. So it makes it much easier. So we took that break last week. It's going, brother. Yeah, excited. Big Brother's back. We got 100-day season this go round.
Yeah.
I've been, I'll talk about it later, but I've been living up on them live feeds, bro. I wish everything has gone really great in my life because I'm watching 17 other people's lives unfold at a near 7-8 hour a day clip. So. But how are you doing, man?
Doing great. Exhausted. This new job, obviously, excuse me. Getting up early, got teaching, then I got football practice. So like today, I got up at 5, got off at 6, had to drive out here, back home to do this. Then I've got to drive back to Murfreesboro this evening. So it's a lot. Our yard is looking rough because, we've just been so busy, haven't had time to mow the yard. So gonna have to find time for that at some point. But hey, it's great. I love what I'm doing. So, super excited for this. Quick fit check. I literally just walked in the door. Didn't even throw on a hat. So I still have my Strong and Pretty t-shirt on that I wore at practice.
Nice. I went old school, bro. This is my McLovin shirt that says "Gangstas, what's up?" It was either McLovin or Muhammad. So why the fuck would it be between that and Muhammad? I could quote that whole movie. All right, got to get a glimpse of these warlocks. Yeah, dude, so funny. And then I got my, college football season right around the bend. So naturally, it being right around the bend, I decided to go upward or I guess downward into the valley with my Happy Valley hat. So,
Nice.
can't really rock a lot of other college football team gear during the college football season. You got to rock that preseason just to, not confuse anybody.
Yeah. But hey, let's go ahead and jump into the news.
Everything you need to know about what's happening on the ice. It's time for news from inside the boards.
All right. Over the past 2 weeks, a bunch has happened. Tarasenko to the Senators at 1 year, $5 million. That's only 1 year, but I feel like that's a little overpaying for how old is he now? He's got to be he's getting up there
I
in
want to
years,
say
right?
I want to say he's like 20, maybe like 31. Let me see. But that being said, they no more DeBrincat. I think they've lost a couple of others.
He is 31. He is
yes.
close to turning 32.
Yeah, he's so I mean old but not terribly old, and I
Yeah.
think that $5 million sounds like a lot, but that's not really a huge contract these days. So
Yeah. I mean, it would be a lot if us as 31-year-olds were playing professional
if
hockey.
we were, if
But
they,
again,
hey,
he's not us.
if they paid us $5 million a year, Bobby, I personally will have to decline that offer. And that sounds crazy for me, right? But I don't want to work for an organization so poorly run that they're offering we're getting Bernie Madoff, okay? We're not getting any money. We're not
Yeah.
we're not as lucky as Bobby Bonilla, okay? Which, by the way, we missed Bobby Bonilla Day this year, and that saddens me. My man, is still to this day getting paid. Yeah, I don't know that I could do it, Bob. I'd be like, this is a scam. You're scamming me. This check is gonna bounce, isn't it? It's gonna be like a blank check situation.
But all right, so restricted free agent Jeremy Swayman locked up by the Bruins. I like that. I think
Me
that
too.
is a solid lockup for them.
Goaltending
Yeah.
so hard
And
to
then moving on
find.
to, oh yeah. And then moving on, Troy Terry signed 7-year, $49 million contract with the Ducks. He was a free agent. That's their future right there that they just locked up.
Yeah, they had to do that. We kind of had some questions a couple years ago. Was he going to be able to sustain this level of what he was showing us? Was it a flash in the pan, or is he going to be that guy? I think that he cleared that up for us this past year and made it an easy decision for the Ducks to get what seems like a very team friendly deal on a guy 7 years. $49 million. So I'm sure that restricted free agency had a little bit to do with it. But hey, good for them. That's a great signing for the Ducks that we're rebuilding.
Sure. Matt Dumba heads to the desert. He's heading to Arizona.
Watch out for that Scottsdale Mafia, baby. Watch out for that Scottsdale Mafia. Galchenyuk out there on the street corner panhandling. He gonna jump you when you come into town.
You have to assume that it is a fear of every player when they get a call from their agent being like, please don't be Arizona. Please don't be Arizona.
Yeah.
Oh, going to Arizona.
Well, and especially with all the recent, racial epithets thrown out by Alex Galchenyuk. He's just waiting around the corner. He's going to be just hurling racial threats at Matt Dumba. You're like, hey, this is my team, buddy. Hey, get out of here. Hey, you get the hell out of Scottsdale. And Matt's like, I don't want to be here. Matt's going to get sent down so he doesn't have to play in Arizona, dude. He's like, what are you talking about, dude? He's like, I'm thinking about going on a racist rant myself, dude. Like that was the move, right?
He's like, send me to El Paso.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if that's where their farm team is, but
he's like,
the vibe is like their farm team would be in El Paso.
He's like, I'll be treated better at in the KHL. Let me just go to the KHL. Yeah. It'll at least I won't burn up. The ice will be able to stay.
Yeah. Let's see. Alex Stalock signs with the Ducks, 1 year, $800,000. That's decent. He's got himself a prove it contract. So excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, I mean it's some depth for him. So, and he's a guy that can step in from time to time and has had some very good games. I think when he had a save that was in contingency. Does that sound? I mean, if I would have kept going, you probably wouldn't have questioned it, right? And that was in contention.
Yeah, now I'm only questioning it now.
Contention
There we
for a Popa. So I mean, there's not really many things that he could do that would be a higher honor than that, Bob. So I don't want to say that his Popa nomination is the reason that he got signed. I just say that the timing is very interesting, where all of a sudden he's in contention for one of these big time awards, and now boom, the Ducks are like, hey, what do these guys see in him? Let's bring him in, give him a shot.
Yeah. All right, let's move into outside the NHL.
Now that you know what's happening inside the boards, time for the rest of the headlines with news from outside the boards.
Bob, if you don't mind,
All right, this first one is take this one.
Yeah, a lot of journalists wouldn't do this, Bob. A few months ago, I brought to you guys the story about Blake Martinez retiring from the NFL so he could trade Pokemon cards full time. Well, we have gotten to a point now where he has been banned on this trading website. I believe it's called Whatnot. I've never utilized
Whatnot.
it, but apparently it's a pretty big time thing where people sell stuff on streams. It's just combining everybody's favorite things of buying things and watching people stream on the internet. So he apparently, a big thing came out on Reddit, and a big Pokemon guy on YouTube was posting about how he was scamming people. And I was like, how do you do that? Well, apparently he was like showing specific packs on the stream that he's selling or whatever, and then sending out a lower level pack. And there's a whole lot. Bobby, I believe it or not, I actually read the article. I don't traditionally do that, but when my journalistic integrity is on the line, I do a bit of reading, and mostly because it really wasn't that long of an article. There's a whole lot of funny things in here about little things that he was doing, and like he was scamming people on bets and stuff. And so he contacted Whatnot after they banned him pretty quickly, which seemed a little, wow, he must have done something. Let me see. Trying to see where he. No, I can't find the quote about what he said. Oh, yeah. Martinez said he had spoken with Whatnot and explained his side of the story. I just want to say sorry to everybody that was out there. You have the right to feel the way you do because, I know the optics across the board. I never wanted to make this feel like a scam. I never wanted to make this feel any type of way. I didn't want to give any reason whatsoever. Okay, so I'm going to analyze that, Bob, and maybe it's just, it's somebody talking and it's kind of taken, he didn't write this, and so they're transcribing what's being said. Maybe that's the case. But I never wanted to make this feel like a scam sentence. What do you mean? Like, what is that?
It means it was a scam.
That's what I'm saying. Like that, you don't say that about like, this is, like this was a legitimate business or whatever, like there's like
the correct thing is this is not a scam.
He goes on to there was talking about like he's like let some people go or whatever. So like, again, it doesn't help him that he didn't like be like, hey, I had this guy that was doing this and like, I'm sorry. And like Whatnot has like refunded people. It was more like oh my gosh, like this fall guy, I can't believe he's doing it. I never wanted it to feel like a scam. I wanted you to feel like this was legitimate. And that guy wasn't good at doing this. So, very funny.
The only worst way he could have worded that was if he had been like, listen, think about my business as like an upside down piece of pizza where I'm up here. And
There is.
I mean, he just admits it.
I never wanted to make this feel like a scam. Like, look, I did want it to be a scam, but the feeling you got from it, I didn't want it. I wanted it to be like microtransactions in Call of Duty, okay? And not like me
Yeah.
scamming you, if that comes across okay. Well, so so I'm sorry to all the people out there. Maybe I directed you to go look into Blake Martinez's Pokemon card selling scam now, but at that point I thought that this man was just like, hey, you've already made 28 million career dollars. This is just a fun way for you to make a little extra money, and which he was apparently doing very well at. But I mean, I guess it's when you say, hey, this is a Mickey Mantle card, and then you send him, an Alex Rodriguez, it's not you can win pretty easily on that. So
Yeah. I like to think he was like doing that, but he would get like it would be a Mickey Mantle, but it's just like some dude named Mickey Mantle who like
exactly
works at the deli down the street.
Exactly. Like he in his
He's
mind,
like, I mean,
it's
I
one of
said...
those that I didn't lie to you, like I didn't want you to feel like you were scammed, Oh, Blake. Oh, Blake.
All right. Kareem Hunt visited the Saints, headed to visit Indianapolis.
Super funny.
I love Kareem Hunt, man. I mean, as a fantasy owner, I mean, he's been on a lot of my winning teams. He's been on a good bit of my losing teams as well. But I mean, his career, I hope he can find a home somewhere to end his career.
Yeah, well, the Saints, I mean, it was all but I think reports were coming out he's signing at the Saints, and Indy calls at the last second was going to be offering more money, so kind of swept in and jumped in front of the line, which is not boding well for Jonathan Taylor. If he decides not to sign, are they going to sign him? I have no idea, but the Saints could use him with Alvin Kamara getting his 3-game suspension. They've got Jamal Williams there. They just drafted Kendre Miller. I also just drafted Kendre Miller in our dynasty draft. So if it were up to me, if the Saints GM gives me a call, I'll say, you know what, we just got to let him go to Indy, boys. That's personally what I'm feeling. And I just think that's probably what's best for both of our teams at this point. And we'll see. We'll see if he listens to the podcast. If he doesn't sign with the Saints, if he doesn't sign with the Saints, then we know we got listeners in New Orleans.
Oh yeah. Let's see. The USA FIBA World Cup roster has been released.
FIBA.
Let's see. I think FIBA. Why don't you talk a little bit about this one?
Yeah. Just the World Cup. It's not the usual suspects. We don't have our Durants and that level of caliber players, but we do have a few decent stars on there. But the full roster is Paolo Banchero for the Magic, Mikal Bridges for the Nets, Jalen Brunson for the Knicks, Anthony Edwards, probably the top prospect there for the Timberwolves, Tyrese Halliburton, Pacers, Josh Hart, Knicks, Brandon Ingram, Pelicans, Jaren Jackson Jr. from the Grizzlies, Cam Johnson from the Nets, Walker Kessler from the Jazz, Bobby Portis from the Bucks, and Austin Reeves from the Lakers, coached by Steve Kerr. I mean, could be a solid lineup. There was a little worry coming out of that world because the story came out that this team lost to a select team in their scrimmages, but the select team was like other NBA players like Cade Cunningham and guys like that. And then they scrimmaged the next day and had Anthony Edwards in the starting lineup, and then they won those scrimmages. It means nothing at this point, really, with those pre-level getting ready. This is a solid lineup. There's definitely some interesting things Steve Kerr can do with it. So I'll be interested to see how we fare. The world, though, is this is definitely not the 92 time frame, dream team time frame,
Yeah.
and level of our talent, but also the world stage has gotten a lot better at basketball, just overall.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
so
and obviously as an American, like, yeah, we always want to see the dream teams go out there. But
America's
honestly,
number one.
as a sports fan, you want to see competitiveness. And after, like, yeah, we've had about 30 years of domination. Let's sit back a little bit. Let's take our foot off the gas 1 or 2 years, and let's actually have some competitive wins.
Well, and
so
this
we
is
can feel a little bit better.
To be fair,
and
to be fair, this is the FIBA World Cup, and so we never send the dominant. But to be fair I'm going to go against that statement, Bobby, and say that basketball is the one sport where just watching one team absolutely crush the other team is fine. If you are for the team that's crushed, because they're going to be doing dopes that, like, when a team is crushing a team like that, then they get to do the dope stuff. That's the dopest part of basketball, right? Like, oh, I can throw it off the backboard, like stuff like that. So I will disagree with that, Bob. I want to see America crush everything every time. I think that, look, the FIBA World Cup should be, we should pay Kevin Durant whatever he gets paid for the Phoenix Suns to be there. You know what I'm saying? That's my thought process on it, Bob. Because, you know what they say, America's number one. And that's just a general saying, not specific to any one thing, just that we generally are.
Yeah, I think that quote goes back to, like, Julius Caesar.
That's a common misconception. It was actually his nephew, Octavian. He actually said it, but it was a sentiment attributed to his uncle Julius Caesar.
Yeah,
I actually saw that in the TV show
Oliver.
I saw that in the TV show Rome, on HBO. So,
yeah,
they were like, Rome, do all you can do for Rome, but only because you're not American, I think is the full translated quote. Don't quote. Don't.
And I think he like said that, and he was at he was at a chariot race, and he got a little bit too much wine in them. He got in a fight. He was like, "I'm sorry, I thought this was America."
So
he was let him know, like, "Hey, actually,
sorry.
It's not yet. It's
sorry.
not."
Sorry.
But
well, and
we can see why you thought that.
Well, but not yet, but also not ever. It'll probably just stay Italy for forever. But you could, but think about this. You can imagine if it was America. No,
yeah,
no,
love the spirit. Love the spirit, Ollie. All right. Phew, we are safe. Bijan Robinson listed as the number 3 guy on the depth chart in hot Atlanta. Projections still have him as on opening night being the number 1 running back, but the first depth chart out of training camp has him listed as number 3.
Keeping in mind that this is the depth chart we got last year with Tyler Algier, that was like 8th on the depth chart, and ended up being like a almost 1,500-yard runner and everything. So, as much as I would like to say that Hunter made the dumb pick and took Bijan number 1 overall, and it's going to fail spectacularly, I would imagine that the number 8 overall pick in the NFL draft probably makes an appearance or two on opening day. As you said, Bob, that's the projection, huh?
Yeah.
I think that he'll maybe beat out Cordell Patterson, a man who spent most of his life as a receiver. So,
but honestly, man, I gotta be honest. Cordell Patterson is
he killer. He's an athlete.
He is a weirdly underrated. Yeah, I remember when I went to the Washington Atlanta game and got to see him. Seeing him in person, he is so much faster. And, like, Tyreek Hill is a speed demon. But, when he's running,
he's
like,
taller.
West,
he's
he
like
gets caught up. But
he's like 3 or 4 inches taller than your average running back. You know what I'm saying? Because he was a receiver, and so he is dominant. He's a dominant athlete for sure. He will definitely not be left by the wayside because of his. Cordell Patterson's that guy you love to have on your football team. He may not end up being a great fantasy guy this year for us, but he's going to be a great football player addition. There's so many of those guys out there that can help a team win football games that just can't get the volume or can't get the levels, that are needed in fantasy. That doesn't at all make them not useful. I think that he'll have a decent level of production anyway, though. I think that even behind
for sure,
Bijan,
in my opinion, Patterson is like the Pablo Sanchez of the NFL. He is in any position you put him in, he's going to succeed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. Pablo Sanchez is a tough sell.
With that said, we have 30 days until the start of the best sports season, and that is NFL season. I'm excited. Fantasy football's gearing up. My Sundays are about to be booked off, and I cannot wait to have my 8 hours of uninterrupted football.
Scott,
so we're gonna, as we get closer, we're gonna be, so yeah, guys. Obviously, we'll talk more about that as we get closer. But let's jump into our main topic of the day. We're talking Metro Division. This is part one. We're talking the Hurricanes, the Blue Jackets, the Devils, and the Islanders. So let's start off on the top with the Carolina Hurricanes. Last season, at 113 points with a record of 52, 21, and 9, they finished first in the Metro Division. I'm excited to see where they go. I think this is, they lost in the conference finals 4-0 to the Florida Panthers. I think this team is a lock for the postseason. Yeah. I think they make it back to the conference finals. I think this is a team that their window is far from over.
Yeah, I agree. And, some of the articles I pulled looking for stuff on the Metro and upcoming year. Metro's gotten better pretty much top to bottom for the most part. But speaking on the Hurricanes, Dmitry Orlov on a 2-year deal, Michael Bunting on a 3-year deal. Your favorite player coming back, Tony DeAngelo, re-signed Ronta, Frederick Anderson, and then Brandon Lemieux to a 1-year deal. That is a solid set of additions. I'm not sure if I can find who they lost, but it doesn't seem like they lost a whole lot.
Not many.
And then Andrei Svechnikov, hopefully he's healthy for the 2023-2024 season. So should be the favorites again for this division, not only making the playoffs, but possibly making a run at that President's Cup. And yeah, I really like what they've done, what they've added. Hurricanes on point to repeat what they've done and hopefully push a little further in the playoffs. They haven't been able to get past that second round into that conference final level yet with Sebastian Aho. You'd like to be, maybe a cup's not what they're going to be able to pull, but you'd like to see them make to that.
Wait, what do you mean? They went to the conference final last year.
That's right. And they played.
They lost to Florida. They got swept by Florida.
Yeah. Okay. That was the conference finals this past.
Carolina,
so you'd like to see him. You'd like to see him move past the conference finals into the finals. But got swept there. You'd like to see him make that more of a competitive series. Can't really get over the hump. Always going in as that as one of that top seed. And got ran over by a tough Florida team this year. So definitely looking forward to seeing my boy Sebastian Aho. They locked him up this offseason as well, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, they did, and it was very good contract, I think, for both sides. He made his bag. And now let's go to a team that's we're probably not going to be as high on. And that is the Columbus Blue Jackets. Last year at a record of 25, 48, and 9 at 59 points. They finished bottom, last place in the Metro Division. Their goals against were 31 out of 32. They had an absolute horrible. Let's see. Their simple rating system was last place. Their what is this? Their strength of schedule was the second to the was actually the easiest. I think that's what it means when it says first out of 32. I think greatest in goals above. 1-0. Okay, so yeah, they had what was considered the easiest schedule in the NHL and still were last in their division. This is a team that has been struggling for a while. I don't think this is a year that they turn things around.
No, and after signing Johnny Gaudreau, to a 7-year deal, they did make some decent acquisitions in Ivan Provorov and Damon Severson. Some defensemen over the offseason, and then obviously they were going to have some center depth issues, and then Adam Fantilli falls to him 3rd overall. I would imagine to see him play a little bit. So, yeah, not a team that I think we see to jump up there, but I do think we see an improved team. They were bad last year, winning 25 games in a tough side of tough division there, but you'd like to see them take a step forward. Merzlikins was not what they wanted from him, but they had a poor defense. So, bringing in guys like Provorov and Severson should at least help him to get back down to closer to that league average on that goals against, personally, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Up next, we are going up the New Jersey Turnpike, and we are looking at the New Jersey Devils at 52-22-8 last season at 112 points. They finished second in the NHL in the Metropolitan Division. This was a team a couple years ago. I think we both said this was a team that was making a comeback, and man, they did the rebuild right. They are competitive. They made it to the second round where they lost to Carolina. They beat the Rangers in the first. This is a team that has a lot of upside, and I'm very excited to see them over the next couple of years and how they continue to build on this. They've got a lot of young talent. Jack Hughes was 1 point away from hitting 100 points last season. Nico Hischier at 80 points. Absolutely amazing. They had three 30-goal scorers last year.
And on top of that, we'll be adding another 34-goal, 73-point scorer in Tyler Toffoli as well.
Oh, yeah.
So a big move for them there, bringing in Toffoli. They also brought in Colin Miller, signed Thomas Nosek to a 1-year deal, Chris Turney to a 1-year deal, and Eric Kallgren to a 1-year deal as well. They are dangerous. They have probably pound for pound one of the most dangerous top 6 in the league right now. Just overall, maybe they don't have that shining superstar like McKinnon or Matthews, but just overall, these guys are getting it done as a complete group. I think that this would be the one team that messes with our easy Carolina Hurricanes win the division again discussion.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's keeping them back from me saying, oh, they will 100% be a competitive against Carolina, and that is their goalie. I think that's the big difference right now is Carolina has a goalie they can depend on, and yes. I just don't. I think maybe I'll be proven wrong. I don't think Vitek Vanacek is the guy.
I don't either, and I think that I would argue that I trust both of Carolina's goalies more than Vanacek, with Ranta sitting there behind Anderson. So I do agree. While I do agree with that, it's very tough in the NFL once you get to that playoff level to get ahead. In a NFL. In an NHL level to get ahead by being necessarily the biggest goal scoring team. That doesn't always translate into playoff hockey, and so that can be dangerous for them. I'm very, very astute point that the goalie is definitely the issue for them. It'll be good enough to get them in the playoffs, but will it be enough to get them over that hump?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I will be excited to see come trade deadline what they do. If they make the right moves at trade deadline, we could be seeing a team. Honestly, we could be seeing New Jersey in the conference final if they do the trade deadline right. I think they need to recognize that their window is open and they need to be huge buyers at the deadline if they want to take advantage. You can't, this league has too much parity to just sit on your heels too often. Like when your window's open, you've got to shoot for the stars right away. Next up, let's move into the Islanders. Last season finished 4th in the Metro at 93 points, with 42, 31, and 9. This was a very middle of the road team. Their goals for was they were 23 out of 32. Their goals against, they had some decent goaltending. They were 5th. They allowed the 5th least amount of goals against at 222. They lost in the first round to Carolina. Again, that Carolina team was good. But they went 6 games with them. And
Bob,
Brock Nelson was really their biggest standout guy last season.
Well, so what do you do when you didn't really advance in the playoffs when you're the Islanders? Well, there's one thing that Lou Lamoriello decided to do, and it was, let me check my notes here. Oh, that's right. He's yet to make an external addition to his roster. So it seems as though he feels he has the team that he needs to compete. They did sign Ilya Sorokin to an 8-year extension. That's great. So it sounds like Ilya Sorokin will be able to make it to the playoffs and go out in the first round in a 5-game series.
Yeah.
I'm very, it's hard. I guess it's hard to get people to come there, but really, is it though? Matt Dumba just got brought into Arizona, so he went to Arizona. You're telling me you can't get somebody to come move to Long Island? I find that to be, it just seems like, what are you doing? So Islanders, I think, missed the playoffs this year is going to be my thought process. I don't think the Penguins miss again and the Capitals miss again. I think that we see the Islanders miss.
Yeah. I think I disagree with you on that one. But this is a team that is going to be very dependent on the trade deadline. They don't make a lot of moves that 100%. They're not making it to the playoffs. And if they do, I think they're a sure thing first round elimination. But like if we look at these numbers, in 6 games, they played 6 playoff games. Their best player in the playoffs was Brock Nelson, who had 5 points. That's not, 5 points in 6 games in the playoffs. That you're not going to get anything done. They need to get a big name up there. None of these guys are guys that can lead a team to a Stanley Cup. And I don't know. This is a very lackluster team, and I feel like they're just kind of meandering in that mediocrity area.
Yeah, and Matt Barzal is a great hockey player that I just don't feel is the guy that wins you a cup. He's a great piece on a team that could help you win a cup. I agree. You got to do something. You got to make a splash, or you got to do what Anaheim did and tear it down to the nubs. And let's start over. Let's give this another run. Get as many draft picks as we can. They have a ton of pieces there, and guys like Anders Lee and Matt Barzal and Ilya Sorokin and Varlamov backing up Sorokin. Brock Nelson, as you said, is a great, two-way forward there. Lots of options and lots of guys and lots of that people would pay assets for that kind of just collecting dust there in New York, where if you're right, all you're arguing, I'm guessing, is not a run from the Islanders in the playoffs, just they will make it. So, I mean, that's our best case scenario thought process is the Islanders
Yeah.
make it to the playoff. And you can't be Lou Lamoriello and look at this roster and
that's only because I think Pittsburgh and Washington will blow it.
Yeah, and you can't be Lou Lamoriello and look at this roster and say, well, this is bad enough to get me a lottery pick. You know, like this, because it's not, and it's not bad enough to get you a lottery pick, but it's not good enough to win you a Stanley Cup. So like that floundering is a tough thing to swallow as a fan base.
100%. But all right, guys, that is part 1 of our Metro Division preview. We will cover the other teams next week. Let's move in though to our joke of the week.
The weird.
Corey Perry.
See, I don't like that. Wild. I think the first read was a good one. Now I'm overthinking it. Outlandish.
Each 6th chick sat on a stick. Little tongue twister.
And downright dumb.
Kidding me.
It's time for the joke of the week.
All right, you found this one. Hit us with it.
Zoom orders workers back in the office. Which, I mean, I guess I understand. If only there was some groundbreaking company on the forefront of remote video technology. Well, I don't really know why it's our joke of the week, Bob. Let's move on. No, what a joke. Like you literally you are only a company of any real large scale value at this point that's a household name because of work from home and like people staying home. It's realistically what it is. It's a cheaper way to do a layoff because how many people that are, I live out of state or I don't live there or whatever, that are now going to have to quit these jobs and they don't have to lay them off or be the bad guys. That people are just not going to come back in. But it's just an absolute joke that the real estate powers to be and of commercial real estate are so strong that even Zoom is not immune to having the heavy thumb of middle management and old executives say, no, I'm sure that there's like a vice president somewhere that has zero idea what their company does. He has his assistant have to come on and turn on his email every morning. There's a less than 0% chance that he Zoom meetings. Or when he does, he works from home and he, just he's such a high level thinker though, Bob. He can't be constrained by the constraints of peasants. You know what I'm saying? Of small little plebeian peons on the bottom rack whose only purpose is to fill the cubicles of this big office that he signed a lease to, 8 years ago, and they gotta get their money's worth. So what a joke. I didn't read the article. I'm not gonna.
I read through it. There is, I would say about half of it makes sense. The other half doesn't make sense. The half that makes sense, okay, it's a technology company. There are people who are required to come in and actually work on servers. There are people who, in an emergency, need to be on call. In case servers go down, they need to actually be hands-on.
Already doing that. Right. Those people are already doing that. That's the point. This hasn't been run remotely this whole time. And now they're like, hey, we really do need to get a guy down in the server room. He's been there. He's been showing up to work.
So what it was they had more people doing like hybrid where like they would come in. Now I think what they were doing is they're having a lot of them now not like they're not permanently there, but like they're more often in case server issues. And it looks like they're bringing in about 5% of their company back.
They're lying.
No, they're definitely lying. I'm only going off what we can see in the article.
I'll bet you they've done like stock buybacks pretty recent. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so I'm not saying you're defending them. It's lies. It's lies. If anything was required in person, they already had that. You know, like that was never
100%
in question.
Let's move into what are you binging? Honestly, the last thing I actually watched was the premiere of Big Brother. I've had no time to watch really anything else. I've been watching a couple YouTube videos that kind of help me, get started teaching, but that's about
learning
it.
how to teach from
when
Indian.
I'm not working, when I'm not coaching.
Learning how to teach from Indian kids, huh, Bob? How do I teach American social studies? It's some Indian kid that's just telling you everything. Like your kids are going to be knowledgeable as shit, bro. Tell them everything that guy says to you, man.
Yeah. That's the good thing about Zoom. I can just put him on the projector, and I'm good to go.
I've got a guest lecturer today, baby.
Yeah. I figured out how to middle management myself in education.
You're just paying. You're outsourcing your teaching job. You're like, I actually teach at like 4 or 5 different schools. It's pretty. Pay out 15% of I pay out 15% of my salary at each, bro. And I got like 5 health insurances, like health insurance. My health insurance.
I don't even need that many.
They fight over who gets to pay. It's sick.
Yeah. When it asks you have secondary health insurance, I like fill out 3rd and 4th,
You're like secondary.
Just in case.
You're like, I've got quadruple primary, baby. So I got like all 5. It's like a power fist. I've got Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna, insert other insurance companies here. I don't know other insurance companies. Obamacare, like everything, dude. Just like and so so for me, Big Brother live feeds, I live on Big Brother live feeds this time of year. Honestly, there was no one simultaneously more excited and upset when they announced that Big Brother would be 100 days. Bro, we're going to be working into it sounds like I'm not even going to be like around for Thanksgiving or anything. They're going to be like, where's Brandon? Be like, yeah, well, he said something about like, he's got to watch his Big Brother or something. And people are going to be like, oh no, he's just sitting at home watching other people inside of a home. It's not, there's like 4 people there at this point. What is he even doing?
Yeah.
So Big Brother live feeds, but if it was a regular show,
Stephanie's like, all he could say is expect the unexpected all day. It's all he can say now.
Stephanie will be right there with me, dude. We are rotting brains together. Like we'll be in separate rooms, watching separate cams and yelling like, oh, Jared said this. Like, like it's really no big deal, but it's nice. It's like we're update. It's like we're in the house with them. So and like the other day, like Felicia and America were sitting there and they were talking about the live feeds and like what would be being shown on the live feeds simultaneously while I'm making my lunch and watching the live feeds. It's just like a weird thing. Like, dude, they're just like chilling in California right now.
Yeah.
I'm like at home making lunch and like they're there. It's just weird. But if I'm like talking a real show, I actually started watching Homeland, dude. I don't know if you've seen that. Homeland is sick.
Nice.
Homeland
I
is
saw the
absolutely
first season
sick.
a while back.
First season's great. I'm like on like season 3.
I watched the first 2 seasons. Okay. I think around season 5, they like completely take a weird turn and replace like the main actors, and it becomes a different show.
It's just like a different show.
Like
Like I'm gonna like
jump as well.
I'm gonna like look up, and it's just like, oh, like it's like the new season of My Name Is Earl or something. Like, what is this? Like, it's Jason. The hell, Jason?
Yeah, it's
Bateman.
actually part of it. Yeah.
It's Jason Bateman doing there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually that show actually is what brings together the My Name Is Earl and Ozarks. It's all part of the same universe.
It's a multiverse. And actually, Bob, that actually brings in the Big Brother Scrambleverse, which shakes it all up. And then boom, Jason Bateman on Big Brother confirmed.
Yeah. Well, just wait till like the season like I think it's like 3 episodes from the or 3 seasons from the end of Homeland. It's like a post-credit scene and you see JD and Turk in the hospital and it brings in the Scrubs universe.
It's season 9. That's where they go on season 9. They come to Homeland.
Yeah.
Zach Braff left because he became he's like, I'm here, I'm Homeland. He's like, well, they're like, what? Like, yeah, it's me, Mr. Homeland. And he just pans off.
Yeah. The tone changed because he was still getting bullied by janitor.
Yeah, I'm just goofing, just New Boots goofing, just like a mixture of every TV show.
But all right, let's move into what's snapping your stick.
Bobby and Brandon are about to find out exactly what snaps their sticks.
All right, so it took me less than 24 hours into my first official day, and it became a shit show with people replying all. It is 2023, y'all. There is no reason to hit reply all. There's also then, and honestly, I don't know which person's worse. The person who originally does the reply all, or the person that, or the next 3 people who do the reply all.
You mean
please don't hit reply all.
You mean unnecessary reply alls, like, hey, thanks everyone, or whatever. On
yes.
Okay. I was like, I utilize the reply all quite a bit because I don't like to individually email people things, Bobby, if I need multiple people to see it. I get what you're saying.
What I mean is when we get something that doesn't require an email back, and it's just oh, thank you so much, can't wait for this, and it's like, all right, and then you get someone then saying, hey, please don't hit reply all, but 3 people say that.
But you said it.
So
yeah,
now it's just
like
becoming a shit show.
Yeah, right. Like the people that said, hey, please don't hit reply all think that, oh, you are our champion. Like, thank you so much for doing it again. Like, that lady was done saying stuff. And now you have said extra stuff of which you don't have to look at because you were the one that sent it, but I now have to look at. If you really wanted to, if they didn't want to also be the center of attention, guess what they would do? They would reply to that person individually and not be part of the problem and be part of the solution. Hey, just as a future aside, don't reply all because we don't want to clog up people's email inboxes. Feel free to respond back to me or whatever. You know, that's how that's supposed to be handled. But when we have rogue vigilantes out there that are policing people's, email etiquette, like, hey, you're part of the problem, Steve. So yes, unnecessary reply alls, or people that don't know they're replying all. Very much same category of people that don't know how to mute. It's been 3 years since the pandemic started. You've been on a meeting every day since then. Learn how to mute your mic. So mine is one that I'm like almost like 98% sure I've said before. But no courtesy wave when I let you merge in traffic, right? Just or flip me off or something, dude. Show some acknowledgement that
acknowledge me.
That right. I would prefer you to flip me off than just pretend like that space was there the whole time. Because I will memorize your license plate and I will never let you in traffic again. I may never get a chance to not let you in traffic, but I can be sure that I just have a blacklist that just pops up. I'm like, all right, boop. And I'm like Steve Buscemi in Billy Madison. And I'm just sitting there with my list of people and I'm like, no, you're not merging today, Black Camry. CSX 232. You're done. You're dead to me. If I had a guy, I would run your plates, dude. I would find out where you lived and your whole family and then go and write you a strongly worded letter because this is not a threat of any kind.
But all right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week. For Brandon, I'm Bobby. This has been Puck's Out Podcast. We'll see you all again next time.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Pucks Out Podcast. To see what other ridiculousness the guys are up to, check them out on Twitter and Instagram @PucksOutPod.